Hi guys, it's Nikita Luther bringing you this very special webinar. Today, a few weeks ago, I posted on Instagram saying I'm planning to do a webinar and what do you guys want to talk about? And I got an overwhelming response from everyone. I got hundreds of DMs telling me that they want to know more, and especially with the current situation with the lockdown, people are so much more interested in finding out about poker. And something really amazing came out of this. We actually got the #1 tournament coach of the world to notice the buzz that this webinar had created, and he said, why not? I've never addressed an Indian audience, and I would love come to chat with you and figure out how poker is in India. And so the pros of the country need no introduction for Bencb of Raise Your Edge. And for those of you who are not pros and who don't really follow poker, Bencb is basically, not only is he one of the best online poker players of the world, he is also widely regarded as the #1 poker coach in the world. He is the brains behind Raise Your Edge, which is often considered to be the #1 poker training material out there. And obviously this is my first webinar ever and I've been thrown into the deep end, so it's just going to be very casual. Just sit back and enjoy, and welcoming Ben, the man, the myth, the legend. Hi Ben.
That was a very big introduction. Hello everyone, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here and share my experience with you.
That's awesome. I can hardly believe I'm sitting here talking to Bencb. And when I started out in poker, I learned everything that I know today pretty much from your course. I mean, of course, there was other stuff, but everything, all the advanced, intermediary to advanced knowledge that I picked up is from you. And then I had the honor and the privilege to meet you last year when I made it all the way to your boot camp. And I was coached by you in person. It was like, I still have goosebumps thinking about that amazing experience and the fact that I'm here today talking to you and, directly. So how does...
And you won our and you won our home game. Don't forget.
And I won your home game, exactly. 20 sickos came from all over the world and participated in the boot camp, and I crushed them. And I was the only girl who was part of the official boot camp. And yeah, I'm always showing the boys how it's done. So, Ben, do you have any questions for what poker is like in India? And are you curious about...
I'm always curious about how poker is developing in any part of this world. And but I'm not so profound with the regulations in every country. So how is it currently in India? Is it lots of online poker? Is it... I mean, right now there's not a lot of live poker, right, with coronavirus, but before that, was there also a lot of live poker? Do you have a big live poker scene? How is it in India?
It is, we have live tournaments every 1.5 to 2 months in the country. And especially with the virus and everything, we have a lot of people move to online. Obviously, all the live tournaments are gone. Poker has been booming for a while, and this coronavirus has kind of just given this sort of push, tipped it over the edge, and it's suddenly reporting a 250 to 300% increase, in the level of participation on tournaments online. So that's why I thought this is the best time to do something like this, take some initiative and bring insights from the biggest expert in the world. So I'm just going to jump right in and ask you the first question here, which I know everybody wants to know. We want to know that, please share with us the best way to study poker for all levels of the game, whether you're a beginner, all 3 categories of players, if you're a beginner, intermediary, or an expert player, what are the best ways that you can really study? And I'm sure all levels of our audience wants to know this.
I mean, as all of you know, poker is very complex. It is, you have to understand, it's one of the toughest games to master from 2 points of view. First, the complexity of the game. There are so many information and we can't process them all together. And on the second level, the emotional part, right? It's so
Yeah.
hard to sometimes stay calm and stay cool when things are not going so well. I've experienced it right now. Like this week, I'm on a sick downswing. And I think that no matter which level you are, whether you're beginner or like me, you have 10 years experience, you will always feel these emotions. You will always feel, man, it's not going so well. You have doubts about your game. You're not sure, are you still beating the games? This will always happen. So it's your responsibility to bring simplicity to the entire process. So simplicity in terms of step by step studying the game. If you're new, pre-flop, learn the pre-flop stuff, pre-flop ranges, from open raising to three betting to calling, and start with early positions, study them for a week, then middle position.
Yeah.
You can't study everything at once. It doesn't work. If you start trying to learn too much at once, you're getting overwhelmed and you're getting lost in the process. So make sure to really set yourself a schedule and a plan and study every spot one by not every spot, but every area. So let's say week one, you just study open raising from early position and middle position. You practice it. You're more aware when you play in game. And then week two, you study blind battle and late positions. And if you need more time, you take the second week for early position, middle position as well. This sounds very simple, but most people don't follow it. And then you can move on to post flop. You can move on to ICM and whatever it requires. For me right now, I focus mostly on playing out of position post flop. I don't focus on anything else. Here and there, I also look into a hand for other spots, but this is what my main focus is on right now, because we're human beings. Otherwise, it's getting too overwhelmed and you just get lost.
Yeah, I think that's something really amazing you brought up, because as poker players, we try to, do everything all together. We're like, okay, we need to work on our blind versus blind. We need to work on our post flop out of position. We want to work on button opening strategies. It turns out to be a mush. So you're saying that segregate a certain amount of time, a certain period, say 1 week, and just focus on that one topic and say that you are not going to deviate from this topic. You're only going to focus your entire attention on this one topic. And once you master it, you move on to the next one.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Master in terms of, this is also, most people don't really know what means master. Well, if you start seeing the things in game without consciously thinking about it, consciously thinking in terms of, okay, I need to open raise these hands and I need to focus on that. This is where you still have to put in a lot of effort. This is the conscious effort. But once you start doing things without thinking about it, that's when you know that you have mastered it, that you know what to do. Yeah. We all know how to open raise aces. We don't need to think about it, right? We just do it. So when you start doing the things without thinking about it, that's where the learning shows its success and you can move on to the next part. But when you still have to put in a lot of effort, then you probably need a bit more time to really internalize the concepts that you're studying.
Yeah, so that is how basic, that's your thermometer, figuring out how hot or cold you are with the concept. Yeah. And I think like any other sport, guys, practice makes perfect. There are no two ways around it. There is no shortcut. And I think your video is frozen.
Yeah, I'm just going to restart it. Don't worry.
So yeah, like any other sport, practice makes perfect. And there is just no shortcuts in poker. And you have to keep practicing till you internalize it and then move on to the next step. Okay, for the second question, basically, the first advice you give to beginner poker players is bankroll management, so that they don't play beyond their means, and especially when you're still learning the game, you don't have that much, you don't have an edge over the field, and people end up overextending themselves, losing more than they can afford. And not only that, like poker careers that could really flourish, people with a lot of potential, fizzle out or die out early in their careers because they don't follow the correct principles of bankroll management. So what exactly is bankroll management? What does it comprise of? How can you really be good at bankroll management?
You have to set yourself a plan where you play certain tournaments within a certain buy-in range. So let's say you play $10 tournaments.
Yeah.
Let's say you play you have $1,000, or you have $1,000. I don't know the Indian currency. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So you have $1,000 in your as a bankroll. You should
Yeah.
play $10 tournaments on average. So you have roughly 100 buy-ins. So even if you have a downswing of 20, 30, 40 buy-ins just dropping, you're not going to go broke. And then you go down. So let's say if you drop 30, 40 buy-ins, you play $5. And you always try to play within a range of, let's say, 70 to 130 buy-ins. And whenever you cross that limit of that you're down 30 buy-ins, so you have 70 buy-ins left, then you go down to the $5 limits. And listen, this is depending on what kind of formats you play. If you have more turbos and hyper turbos in your schedule, you should have a 200 buy-in bankroll management. If you play very soft and very slow structures, you can even be a little bit more aggressive, 70, 80 buy-ins. I'm super conservative. Like even right now, when I have a downswing and I have a very solid bankroll, I'm selling more action because I
Yeah.
understand that our subconscious mind and our ego, they're so much stronger than you. They like to tell you, oh, you're good, you're very good, you can play higher stakes, right? And we can't control that. This happens to everyone. Listen, I was the first 3 months this year, I won a lot of money and I thought I'm going to beat everyone. So
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to this Poker Master series where there's $10,000 and $25,000 tournaments. I was like, I'm just going to run over them. But I mean, I was not consciously thinking it, but it's what your ego likes to tell you, you know? And
Yeah.
when you don't stay aware and when you don't have a strict plan, because sometimes we are weak. And when you're weak, you don't have the self-awareness to tell your ego to shut the fuck up. We're going to stay on our bankroll management. But once we have the plan, we're going to stick to it. Or at least you're supposed to stick to it. And even though your ego tells you, you're like, no, this is the plan exactly designed for this moment when I'm getting weak, when I feel like I want to play higher stakes, even though I'm not supposed to. And no matter if you're beginner or if you're pro, and listen, I've seen so many pros going broke that stacked up
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands. And then they started
Exactly.
playing 5,000, 10,000, $25,000 tournaments, which was still completely out of their bankroll. They didn't sell a lot of action. And then you just brick 10, 20 tournaments and you're broke.
Exactly.
So this is very dangerous. Bankroll management is the number one thing that you need to have as a poker player.
Yeah, this is why Bencb is one of the most inspiring people in poker. Look at how humble he is, and even though he's one of the best out there, he's saying, you know, I don't want to listen to my ego, and I want to recognize when I'm weak and recognize when I'm on a downswing, and these are the things that transmute into being a successful poker player. I think that's a very important takeaway for us.
Yeah, 100%.
And you know, everyone in poker, so my next question is something I'm sure every single person who plays poker really wants to know how to deal with. Is the number one concern of being a poker player. It's basically that everyone in poker is always talking about mindset and mental game, how to handle a downswing, how to you know, when you're getting bad beat after bad beat in the late stages of a tournament, there are 20 people left, 30 people left, day after day you reach the final 2 or 3 tables and you lose a coin flip, or you lose aces to queens, or you lose sick cooler or setup, and it keeps happening for a long period of time. So dealing with a downswing, dealing with bad beats, or just like a lack of stamina, what is your one big mindset advice, one big mental game hack mindset advice that has helped you the most in poker and that you want to share with us today?
Okay, if it's just really one thing, the hack that helped me is always shifting my expectations from, let's say, well, we always have good expectations, right? We're always going to think, oh, we're going to win money. 1 second, now my video is gone again.
Of course, you have to have expectations.
Is always have good expectations, always expect good things to happen, always expect to win money, but be prepared for the worst. So yeah. I'm gonna switch the webcam 1 second.
Yeah, no
somehow it keeps freezing. I don't know this should be better now. And once I realize I'm in the session, it's not going so well, I shift from, all right, I'm going to make money, to I'm going to try to lose the minimum. Because the difference between great poker players and bad poker players is that great poker players can lose the minimum. And your entire career, like we know the graphs, it goes up and downs and up and downs, and you're gonna ultimately have downs. So a big part of your overall winnings that you make as a poker player is determined by how do you perform when things are not going so well. How do you perform when you're losing money? Because you can lose 10 buy-ins or 5 buy-ins, and still it's like you win actually 5 buy-ins compared to other players. So you really have to make sure when things are not going so well to shift your mindset to, I'm going to lose the minimum. Okay. That is the hack that has helped me and probably saved me a lot of money.
Okay, so I guess what Bencb is saying here is that, guys, downswings will happen. It is a part of the game.
To everyone.
It's part of the game. What separates the men from the boys is the fact that how you minimize your losses when you're going through a downswing and maximize your profits when you're going through an upswing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, awesome. So this question is for a recreational audience. All the pros these days are all talking about GTO and GTO strategy. No, it's a GTO jam and all of that. But the recreational players don't understand what GTO is. They don't know what the full form is. And a lot of people have asked me, Nikita, what is GTO? So how do we explain very simply to our recreational audience what GTO is and how it differs from exploitative poker?
GTO is basically when two players play against each other and they both play a perfect strategy that nobody's going to win. So nobody can exploit each other. Nobody can play a strategy that allows them to take advantage of flaws in the other person's strategy. So
it's basically game theory optimal. It's a theoretical concept.
Yeah, exactly. It's a theoretical concept. It's a Nash equilibrium where both players apply a strategy that has a neutral EV against each other. And then the luck decides who wins. This is something that is not even applicable for low stakes and mid stakes because people don't play optimal, right? So whenever someone doesn't play optimal, then you want to deviate from it. Very easy example. Let's say we play rock, paper, and scissors. The GTO strategy in rock, paper, scissors would be to randomize. So if I play rock, scissors, paper against Nikita and I want to play GTO, I would randomize. I would randomly choose, I'm going to take rock, I'm going to take paper, I'm going to take scissors. Yeah. So, and you can't, the moment I incorporate a pattern, let's say I try to exploit you, I think you do something, I make myself susceptible because now I use a pattern that you might be able to identify.
Exactly.
So I deviate from GTO and you can exploit me. However, when I see a pattern, when I know, okay, every third time you take rock for whatever reason, I want to exploit that, right? So I want to deviate from GTO, and every single time when you exploit someone, you also make yourself susceptible because you might realize, oh, he's taking paper every third time because you take rock. So it's then a thing of who's exploiting who. But let's keep it simple. This is just of course, once we start seeing that, let's say a recreational is a calling station, we're not going to bluff him. Right, but the recreational, he's not going to take the next step and says, "Oh, he's never bluffing me, so I'm never going to call." This is not happening. So this one step of exploiting is already enough. You don't need to worry that you get re-exploited. And this is where a lot of people struggle, that they think, "Oh, I'm never bluffing here, I'm getting exploited." But that's not true. That's bullshit. So exploiting poker, I always say GTO serves you to understand poker, but exploiting will make you the money. This is how you can see it. You want to apply exploitative poker.
Yeah.
But you can only exploit when you understand the fundamentals of the game, when you understand GTO. So GTO is required to know.
Yeah. So GTO is basically building your foundation and understanding an equilibrium strategy in poker, and then deviating from there to exploit your opponents and make maximum amount of money. Okay, awesome. This next question is something that I really need to personally understand. It's for a pro audience, and something that I still haven't figured out what the right thing to do is. Basically, what are your views on how many bullets to fire in a particular tournament? What factors does this number of bullets depend on? Like, for example, I don't fire more than 2 or 3 bullets in any high guarantee tournament because I just don't have the stomach for it. But I see all my friends firing away. They're firing 10, 12, 15 bullets sometimes. Just if the tournament is really high guarantee, they sometimes don't even care how many big blinds they're getting to start the tournament. And I just can't wrap my head around that. And but people say that, you know, you have to maximize volume to realize your EV or your edge. And so what is that exact, like, what does, how many number of bullets to fire in a tournament? What are the factors that it depends on? And how do you roughly estimate a strategy for this?
In general, you should try to avoid rebuying when you're shallow. Because you still pay rake, and at some point, the rake is simply too high. So let's say if you rebuy with 10 or 20 big blinds, it might not be even profitable anymore because the rake is too high. So it really depends on how much rake you pay. So you should look into whether you pay 10. There are live tournaments where you pay 10, 15% rake or 20% rake. And then
in online tournaments.
Sorry?
It's typically 10% in online tournaments in India.
Okay.
10%.
And having a 10%, let's say you rebuy with 10 big blinds, you will want to have at least 10% ROI. And with 10 big blinds, that's going to be incredibly tough. That most people don't have it. So the threshold always should be around 30 big blinds. I think 30 big blinds is a good stack size you can orientate. If you're less than 30 big blinds, I would very likely not rebuy. Of course, the better you... Sorry?
Sorry for cutting you in. I was asking, what are the 4 fields are like very easy, like, you know, they're easy fields and you have a massive edge over the field.
But you don't have such a big edge with 10 big blinds. That's a problem. Like a recreational, even though if you have a table with full of recreationals, they're not going to fold a lot. It's with 10 big blinds, the game is supposed to be loose and aggressive. So you can't really wait for it. So it's more a game of luck. And usually with very short stack sizes, just as an illustration, in Hypertober sitting goes, where you have 25 big blinds and blinds increase every 3 minutes, 6-handed. You have, when you're good, you have an ROI somewhere between 1% and 3%. Now imagine your return of investment. Okay, of course it's going to be higher because if you, let's say you double up, you triple up or whatever, and you're back to 20, 30 big blinds, you then have 30, 40%. But this moment when you re-enter with 10 big blinds, your return of investment is very low. And I think most people, they don't reach the 10% ROI. So I would say even I try to not rebuy with less than 30 big blinds. When I stream, I usually do it to have enough tables. But when I don't stream, I usually don't rebuy when I'm so short, even though the field is soft. It's just, it's stupid.
Okay. What if you're getting 40? Sorry, I'm really extending this question because it's a personal dilemma. What if you're getting a lot of big blinds? Say you're getting 40, even 50 big blinds, but you've already fired thrice or 4 times. Do you just give up, or do you?
No, if it's still within your bankroll, if you feel comfortable just playing another tournament, of course. Okay. I mean, it's from an economical standpoint, I think re-entry tournaments are not very healthy for poker. It's just my point of view, because I think recreationals don't really enjoy it. But this is a different topic.
Okay, I'm just going to take a quick question from the audience. Raj Shrestha Juneja is saying, Bencb, much respect to your work ethic, bro. I really do respect. I really do respect that a lot. The preparing for a long grind is epic. The workout and the cold showers and meditation. Can you delve a bit more on that?
I just like to have my routines. I think it's important when you compete in something, even though if it's just a cash game session, you should have a little routine that brings you into the moment. every professional athlete in this world is doing it. So, and it just brings me in the perfect mental situation. There is not so much explanation. It's just I feel great afterwards. And if you want to try it out, do a workout, take a cold shower, meditate, and tell me how you feel afterwards. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys are gonna feel very epic afterwards. It's just I feel ready. I'm less susceptible for tilts. I'm less susceptible for making mistakes. I'm less susceptible for missing some information that is crucial for making decision. So yeah, it's just
having a routine is very, very plus EV. I completely agree with that. Okay, which leads me to my next question. How do you, we all know that this is for everyone, pros, recreationals, it's even a life question actually, that how do you develop patience? We all know that patience is the number one key to being a successful poker player. And I think patience is the number one thing everybody struggles with in life in general, not only poker. So how do you increase patience and stamina specifically?
meditation.
Meditation?
If you sit there every day for 15-20 minutes and you just focus on your breath, it's ultimately gonna make you more patient, because the impatience comes from us being constantly distracted. And I mean, you were constantly on the phone, social media. It's the age of distraction. So you have to take the responsibility, not think and not give up and like, yeah, but everyone is doing it. Everyone has to struggle with it. No, you have to be the counterpart. You have to be proactive. And I'm not saying never check your phone and never check your social media. I think it has its benefits, but you have to set some boundaries. You have to set some limits. Not the first thing in the morning checking your phone, not the last thing before going to bed checking your phone, because this makes it literally makes you dumb. It has been scientifically proven. Constantly being on your phone, it makes you dumb. It makes you always feeling these cravings for satisfying your dopamine cravings, right? And when this urge is getting more and more, it makes you impatient, because you can't just sit there for 5 minutes. You always have to do something. And this will also affect your poker game, because you can't just sit there 30 minutes, wait for a hand. No, you want to play, you want action, you want to satisfy your dopamine in terms of gambling. So meditating and incorporating routines like that, for example, I don't spend 1 or 2 hours after I get up on my phone. Like, I do other stuff. I work out, I meditate, I make breakfast, I read or whatever, but I don't check my phone. And I'm pretty sure it has a huge impact on my poker game as well. There's so much more than just studying the strategy. Like, the routines we have in our lives, they have a much bigger impact on our poker game than actually the studying itself, I would almost say.
Yeah, poker is a lifestyle. It's not.
Yeah, it's just a reflection of your life. If you're an impatient person,
that's such a big statement. It's a reflection of your life. That's amazing. Yeah. And I was saying that funny you bring that up, because I really try hard to have 1 hour of white space in the morning where I wake up and I don't look into my phone. I don't want all those distractions, because I believe that, you end up starting your day reactively instead of starting it proactively.
Yeah.
You're reacting to external stimulus, to other people, what they want from you and what life is demanding from you. Whereas taking things in your own hands and, just deciding and setting a course for the rest of your day. And
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to take another question from the audience before we jump into like a fun segment. There's a sweet question. Manju Kumar is asking, great fan of you, Ben. Are you any plans of visiting India after the COVID, after the virus?
I don't have any travel plans at the moment. I go from month to month. Asia and I haven't been a lot in Asia, and I haven't been in India yet. So I definitely would like to one day, but I'm very busy. It has to match my schedule. One of my mentors currently was in India, and he really liked it. He was on a yoga and meditation retreat, and he definitely recommended to me. So I would love to. But
we'd love to have you here. I hope you can make it out here in the near future. Okay, so I prepared a fun segment also because I thought the questions are getting a bit too serious. So this is a rapid fire round.
Okay.
Where I'm gonna ask you questions and you have to answer very fast without thinking in 1 or 2 words, and you can't answer in more than a sentence.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. First question. Live poker or online poker?
Online poker.
Cash games or tournaments?
Tournaments.
Best cash game pro in the world?
Linus Love.
Sorry?
Linus Love.
Linus Love, okay. Best MTT pro?
Tim Thompson.
Best female pro?
Nikita Luther.
Yes! Thank you. Oh my god, that's so exciting. You heard it, guys. Okay, best ambassador for the game?
I would say Phil Galfond at the moment. Yeah, Phil Galfond.
Nice. You have seen the maximum number of fish from this country.
Sorry?
You've seen the maximum number of fish from this country. Like worst players in the world come from which country?
Oh, I feel like if I'm gonna name a country, I'm gonna make myself very
Yes.
Germany has a lot of bad players, to be honest. I feel like I almost want to say Germany, but they're always too
I
stupid.
would even say Germany has the best players in the world. That is what's widely regarded true in the, I mean, amongst a lot of poker pros consider Germans to be the most formidable players.
No, I really don't know. I can't say. I honestly don't really want to say because
you're just being
if I say a country, people are gonna hate me.
Okay.
I say Banana Island. It's a
Okay, fine. Ben has chosen to be politically correct in this one. Okay, you've seen the maximum number of sharks from this country.
Sweden.
Sweden. Wow, interesting. Favorite live poker experience?
I had a guy. I have to answer in one sentence at least. I had a guy who just was gambling around, and I gave him my coin. Like he didn't know what to do. So there was a lot of action. Raised 3-bet, 4-bet. I was about to break. I was about to get up. I was like, "All right, here, take my coin. It brings you luck." He said, "Okay, then I'm gonna call." And he wins. He makes a huge suck out and wins the hand.
He sucked out on you.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's hilarious. Okay. A perfect day in your life would include these 3 poker activities. No, not poker activities. Sorry. A perfect day in your life would include these 3 activities. It can be non-poker.
Yeah. Having a delicious meal, being on the beach, going for a swim, and getting a massage.
Okay, nice. In an alternate reality, if you weren't a poker professional, you would be?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
In an alternate reality, if you weren't a poker professional, what would you be?
Like an other personality? Like who or what?
Yeah, like in a parallel universe, if Bencb was not Bencb, the poker player, what other profession or job?
I would do something in sports, having a sports business.
Okay, nice.
Some sports consulting, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. One person who inspires you the most? It can be non-poker.
Yeah. Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And okay, this is the last question. One wild prediction for the future of poker.
It's going to boom again because there's still so many markets that are still unregulated, and it just shows how much potential there is. And there's a lot of money, so governments are interested to get this money. So ultimately, it will be regulated in a lot of countries, and also the markets come together. So I think in a couple of years, chances are good we're going to see a much bigger boom than we experienced 10 years ago.
Wow, amazing. So optimistic stuff all around for the future of poker. That's really great. Ben, we ran a really fun contest for bringing on one big fan of yours to the stream and interact with you. And he basically, I asked people to share a 3-word poker story with us. And I got many, many entries. It was really hard to pick. But one entry stood out because he said that my favorite poker story in 3 words is that Bencb is live. Basically saying that he's the most excited in his entire poker career for this moment. And it would mean a lot to him to come on the stream because he's been following your content for a really long time. So please welcome Srihari Bang.
Welcome.
Hey, Ben.
Hi, Srihari.
Hello.
Hello, Shirari. Hey, how's it going? What's up, man?
Good. I've been following your content from past 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Congratulations on winning the contest.
He didn't just win the contest. He also recently, I found out later that he won one of the Sunday majors. The last Sunday, Srihari, when did you win the major?
My biggest win was actually last year when I won the Millionaire. That was for around 50 lakhs.
Oh, okay. So Ben, 50 lakhs is around $70,000 US. And
Congrats.
and he I think he was the youngest ever millionaire winner. How old are you, Srihari?
I'm 20 now, Ben.
20.
You're 20.
Young gun.
Nice. And so you've never played in a casino before?
I've sneaked into Goa's casino, of course, but then it wasn't legal.
Don't say these things on stream. Okay, so Ben, Srihari has some he has some questions he would like to ask you.
Sure,
So
let's
my
do it.
first question would be, how do we play our bottom pairs with less than 20 big blinds?
When it's post flop and you have a bottom pair, you usually can just play, if you're out of position, just check raise all in, because the opponent is going to continuation bet with a lot of hands. So let's say the flop comes 10-5 deuce and you flop with 4 deuce suited, you flop a bottom pair, or you with jack deuce suited, you defend against from the big blind with to get a good price. He c-bets, you can just go all in. He c-bets all his king queens, ace kings, ace jacks. Your hand needs protection, and even if it goes all in, you still have 5 outs to win. It's a situation where just go all in. You're going to take the pot down, and even if you're called, you still have a good decent amount of equity. Calling is fine as well, but I think it simplifies a lot of turn and river decisions. If you play against someone that is very passive and tight, he doesn't c-bet a lot, and then he c-bets, I would just call. But if you see someone, he's just betting every flop, then I would just go all in and take down the pot right away. And when you're in position, you have to be a bit more careful, because when you now have a bottom pair, your opponent can also check jam and check raise a lot against you, because you're effectively playing a shorter stack size. So let's say you're 16 big blinds, he's going to check raise draws on you, he's going to check raise gut shots on you, he can just check raise his top pairs. So I would more often incline to just check back, try to realize my equity, and then go from the turn.
Right. So what should be our rejamming ranges when around 30 people are left? Like, can we follow the same Nash ranges from like of your ranges, basically of your razor edge ranges? Can we follow the same rejamming ranges, or should we get a little bit tighter? Because I feel that people open a bit tight after 30 people are left or 20 are left. They open a bit tighter. So can we follow the same rejamming ranges?
That's a good question, because sorry for cutting you. Do rejamming ranges change in ICM, and how do they impact ICM? That's also a very important question.
Yeah, of course they do. And however, there are players that take advantage of the tightness of the other players, so they actually start opening more. And usually with 20 left, the ICM impact is not that big, because you have pay jumps between 20 and 15, 15 and 12, 12 and 9, and then so usually you will have 1 or 2 more pay jumps. So when you're in that region of 10 to 20 big blinds where you consider reshoving, your ICM impact isn't that big, because you're probably one of the shorter stacks. And once you have, if you're then on a direct bubble, so let's say you're 16 left and 15 paid, you have to take a look, okay, where are the other shorter stacks? Usually against mid stacks, you want to be reshoving incredibly tight, because they're going to be raising into bigger stacks. However, you cannot just copy, because those ranges are chip EV. So that's why I also emphasize on people, hey, you need to also take HRC, IC Miser, or an ICM tool to analyze those spots, put in their hands and see how does the reshoving range impact ICM. In fact, there are spots where you're actually supposed to be looser. When you have a short stack, 50 big blinds, and there's a big stack and he opens 80% from the button to apply pressure, you can go bananas. You can reshove incredible wide. And in chip EV, usually they don't open raise that wide because there's nothing to exploit. There's no money involved yet. So they play tighter. So yeah, it needs some further elaboration. It's just something we cannot put into ranges because there are a million different stack distributions that are possible. And you need to start building and understanding how the different stack sizes and the ICM impact your reshoving range. It's just a matter of practice.
Right. My next question and the last one.
Is that it? Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Right. So how can poker players contribute more to society? How do you develop bigger goals in life while playing poker?
That's a good question. I can also only speak from my point of view. I think everyone needs to figure out what do you want to contribute in life. I think when you take care of yourself and you try to be a happy person, this is already a huge contribution to life, because now I think everyone would do that. We would be in a much better place. However, if you are in a place where, let's say, you build some financial wealth, I think it's your responsibility to give something back. Either you can donate money, or you can, the way I'm trying to do is to produce content also for free to help people to get into poker. For other people, it's traveling the world in countries where they are working on the ground in that country by building infrastructure. Everyone has a different point of view on how they are helping others. But I think the most important point is actually working on yourself and trying to bring more happiness, more self-awareness, more peace into your own life. Because I'm always approaching it from the point of view, okay, I want to be the change I see in the world. So I not only want to produce content and make the world a better place, I also want to take care of my own well-being, because only when you feel well, only when you are happy, then you can also give something. You can't give something, you can't contribute when you're unhappy, when you feel like shit, right? Because then there's nothing to give. So you have to first come from actually a selfish standpoint of taking care of your own happiness. Only a happy person can give.
That's amazing. That's pretty much life advice, not just, this is nothing to do with poker anymore. I mean, it's just amazing. I think Bencb is like the #1 mindset person to talk to. It's just so inspiring and refreshing. Thank you, Sri Hari. It was really nice having you on the stream. In this last 15 minutes, we are going to just jump into some hand reviews. Look at some.
Stay healthy. Bye-bye. Thanks for being here.
Okay, awesome.
Just wanted to say a personal bye-bye to him.
I don't have a lot of hands, but like, sorry?
I think we're lagging a bit. I just said I wanted to say personal bye-bye to him, so.
Am I?
Hello? Nikita, can you still hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry. There's actually a storm outside in New Delhi today, and because of the storm, the internet connection is getting a little disturbed. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull up my screen over here. Where is it? There's some problem. Sorry, give me a second. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah.
Do you have to be in India? Is it India regulated, or can, for example, I from Europe also play on Indian poker sites?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you have to be from India specifically, because all your deposits and withdrawals are on an Indian bank account only, and they're linked to an Indian mobile number, Indian home address, and they do a KYC process. So it's very, very airtight. Nobody from outside of India can really participate.
Okay.
Also, I think our industry is, very yet to be regulated. I think one of the biggest downfalls of Indian poker is that there's a lot of tax. There's 30% tax on our winnings.
Okay.
Even though the situation has improved and it's become on net winnings, earlier it was just 30% on any cash, which is
Oh wow.
yeah, which was pretty hard to beat. But now it's on net winnings, but still 30% is a huge hit to take.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But,
Yeah.
but like you said, that poker will boom again in India because, India is anyway behind the world economy by a few years. India has been booming for a while, and poker has really, really taken off. I mean, we get 1,200 to 1,500 players on a regular Sunday tournament every week, and that those numbers were never heard of before.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a tournament running on an Indian site which has about 700,000 guaranteed, $700,000 guaranteed.
Oh wow.
150 to first, 150,000 to first. So
Wow,
that's
that's like-
insane. Yeah. It's really the ecosystem is really improving. Anyway, so jumping into the hands over here, this is blinds are 450, 900, and we have 25,000.
Yeah.
UTG, this person is a decent reg, okay, and I defend big blind with queen 10 suited. Check, he bets 1,400. Should I call here or should I check raise?
I mean, there are a lot of draws possible. You can have some weaker 10x. I think queen 10 is okay to raise. King 10 I would certainly raise. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I think calling is totally
Call.
fine.
But raising, you can raise with some frequency, right? Especially
Yeah, sure. It's but if you raise and he goes, so then you have to call.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I raise.
Yeah.
He calls, and now turn is a 3 of hearts.
Mm.
How do you, should I slow down or?
Ask yourself, let's say if you're in the preflop aggressor's shoes, how would you play flush draws against the raise?
I would probably jam given stack sizes.
Yeah.
Less
So I'm
than-
not really afraid of, I think I don't mind just going all in because everything that is better, like jacks, queens, kings, I think would jam the turn, would jam the flop. It's just such a draw heavy board.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the way population plays here is they have weaker 10x. He can have pocket fours, pocket sixes, pocket eights, pocket nines with one heart. He can have ace seven, ace five. He can have ace king, king queen. I think here, I think if you raise it on the flop, you should raise it bigger, by the way, because now you have this awkward stack size or stack to pot ratio. I would raise to 5K, and
Okay.
then I have close to pot left, and then I can just jam the turn.
Okay.
So we have then maybe 15K, we have 17K behind, and can just go. I would probably just jam this turn here.
Yeah.
The only hands that I'm afraid of are like ace 10, king 10, queen 10, and hearts, but everything else I'm not really worried.
Yeah. So this is the mistake I made. I decided to slow down because in game I didn't realize that he would probably just jam his flush draws on the flop itself. And so I slow down, I check, he checks behind, and now river the both pairs.
Yeah.
Which is just an awkward, now there's it's a flushing pairing board, and I just have top pair with not even top kicker, like a decent kicker. So how do I react on a river like this?
I would probably just bet.
Bet
for
full?
value. We don't need to bet that big, like 4K, 5K.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any folds? Okay, good. Because I was just yeah, it was just a very awkward spot. These out of position hands tend to get a little awkward.
Yeah.
Next hand is basically a very typical. I mean, I still know how I would probably randomize this spot, but it's a sport that comes up with a lot of people, and I'm sure they want to understand because a lot of recreational players are like, how do we play jacks? How do we play jacks? UTG opens, I 3-bet, one guy cold calls from behind, and UTG now jams. What should
I first of all, I like your 3-bet. From this position, you want to mainly look for 3-betting. So what most people do wrong and what they don't understand is that, yes, 9s and 10s, it looks such a nice hand to call and see a flop. But the problem is that only mostly when we hit a set, we can continue. So by 3-betting, you knock out everyone that is having like queen jack suited, queen 10 suited, and is behind, right? So you fold out a lot of equity, and still, if the another gun player calls, we're still in a good shape against his entire range. So I think 3-betting, I wouldn't even make any kind of frequency plays. I would just 3-bet my entire range here. I would 3-bet aces, kings. I would 3-bet king jack suited. All the hands that look pretty. They all play well in a 3-bet pot. Yeah, and if he jams, I think we have an easy fold. I don't think he ever jams 10s. I think it's jacks plus, ace, king plus, and against that range, we have an easy fold. And the guy behind also looks kind of scary. He's going to have aces and kings a decent amount of the time. You have a very good stack. I think there's no point in gambling here for 50K. I don't think you will ever have 40% here. So
I ended up falling, and it was a wrong ball. I mean, I can't wrap my head around 3-bet folding jacks. So
yeah, you need to be capable of doing that.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard though. But yeah, so he shows up with kings, and the guy behind shows up with 8s.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay, this is the last hand. Three-way to the flop. The flop comes. So this happens a lot. It's a very common spot. A lot of people struggle with when you open ace king off, ace queen off, ace 10 off. And the flop comes these low 7-5 deuce coordinated sort of low boards, and both the blinds are in. Okay, and now it smashes both these ranges. The small blind has a lot of ace 7 suited, ace 5 suited, ace 2 suited, and the big blind has all these cards pretty much. How do you respond on a board like this, especially with a backdoor queen club draw? I don't know if that is even relevant to this hand, because queen is not even nut flush. So
yeah,
how do you advise me I continue 3-way on this board?
First of all, if you need to understand, you need to realize that you're not going to make a lot of money in this spot. It's just a spot. Ace queen, ace king is a drawing hand, and very often you're not going to be drawing on anything. So just a board where, especially with the queen and clubs, checking back, trying to hit your hand on the turn. Potentially ace and clubs, we can consider continue betting, but we have to have the backdoor nut flush draw. Apart from that, I would just always check back here. There's no reason to be betting.
Awesome. So
that's especially against two people.
Okay, so that's exactly what we do. We check back on the flop, and then we hit top pair, top kicker on the turn.
Yeah.
Now this guy leads half pot. Should we raise here, or should we?
No, I would just call. I think if he has a queen, he's going to pay us off. I think if we raise and go all in on the river, he might fold a queen. But if we call now, he's going to certainly call another big bet with the queen on the turn, where we can still represent busted flush draw. So unless you have a read that I don't know the player pool in India. But if he has queen 3 and he's not going anywhere, you raise the flop turn and you jam the river, then you should do so, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I can only speak from
sticky. Most players in India are very, very sticky.
Then I would just raise and then play for stacks. I would raise to 5K and just jam the river.
Exactly. So that's what. I raised really small for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Okay, these are mistakes that I've made, and that's why they're in the hand history, and that's why they're questioned.
Yeah.
I'm going to show my perfect hands. Now this guy cold calls and this guy jams. I should fold at this point, right?
This looks scary now. I think now we can fold. Yeah. If you see people doing it with queen jack, we can never fold. But
That's the problem. People are very sticky in these fields, and they do.
Yeah, there's a difference between being sticky and being aggressive. Like
Yeah.
sticky people, usually they're not that aggressive. Like he calls you down with the 7 here, turn and river, or he calls you down with weak queen, you know. But then once they get aggressive themselves, this should be a warning signal for you.
I know, but I make a mistake and I call off, and
Yeah.
he shows up with a set of all the
Yeah,
things.
we should
I
like,
should fold it, raise, fold it
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Raise
I understand it's something race folding with good hands or 3-bit folding with good hands is what a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, awesome. That's it for our time. Thank you so much, Ben. This was really, really fun, really insightful.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
And yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And thank you for taking out the time. Really, really appreciate it. And the Indian audience just have been losing their minds. All the poker enthusiasts have been losing their minds to have you on our show for the first time. You know, we've always heard your voice behind the Raise Your Red screens, and only recently found out what you really look like and all of that. So thank you. It's been a great pleasure. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, I'm just going to end the screen.
Bye, India. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk to you, and wish you all the best. And hopefully you guys stay healthy. And maybe see you soon, guys.
And guys, I'm just going to take it from here. Can we just close Ben's video, please? Okay, thank you. So guys, thank you for tuning in. That's it for my time, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please slide into our DMs, give us some feedback on what you thought of this webinar. You can reach out to Gutshot or directly to my pages on Instagram and Facebook. Big shout out to Dwayne, Alvina, Aishwarya, and the entire team at Gutshot that have been working tirelessly to put this together. And big thank you to Spartan Poker for facilitating this stream and always being at the forefront of encouraging female participation in the game. Thank you, guys. Until next time. Stay safe. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay, bye.